Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Tim Cyclesman Wood, editor of Cycles News and Views on Cyclesman.com. Happy American Thanksgiving, Tim.
Thank you, Jim.
Plan to rip through a big turkey?
Well, yeah, I guess so. It's tradition. You have to do it.
Tim, what's going on the gold market right now?
Well, we have a counter trend bounce, and there's actually have a short-term buy signal still in place. We had a good down day earlier in the week, but there's still a short-term buy signal. We had a little short-term low in late October. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but in late October, we have this little bounce going on. Backing up in time, looking at the cycles of the next higher degree, we had the intermediate term and seasonal cycle top. It's an annual cycle that peaked in September, and in the big picture, still think that that was a counter trend bounce out of the December low from last year into the September high, and that still, we have that, we're waiting on that last move down in gold. It's been teetering and taking its sweet time, but nothing has changed there. So short-term buy signal, but still think it's going down into those lows.
Crude oil still in the $55 range. Do you expect it to drop?
Yes, still the counter trend advance. We have an intermediate term buy signal in crude oil still. There's a short term buy signal in crude oil that was re-triggered, coming out of an annual and a intermediate term low back in June. That's still intact. I think we're still fishing for that top, but I do think that when you back up and look at it from the bigger picture, that the advance out of the June low, was in the low 40s, that this is a counter trend advance and that there's another trip down. We're not there yet. So yes, the short and intermediate term buy signals are in place, but we have some cycle tops due once we get the sell signals to market. Until then, it'll continue to hold. The entire commodity complex, when you look at this, with gold, the information, the technical data on the CRB index, which is a basket of commodities, all of that is still suggesting, even though gold has held, relatively, I say relatively strong, it hadn't made new highs or anything. I mean, it's just been basically flat. We're basically at the same levels that we were this time last year. So it hasn't gone anywhere is the point. The fact that crude oil has rallied out of those intermediate degree lows back in June. None of that has changed the bigger picture with the entire commodity complex, and still think that as of this point, the evidence suggests that we should have the 3-year cycle top in place, and that the entire commodity complex as a whole should move lower once the signals are triggered. The intermediate term and short-term sell signals in the dominoes start to fall there. We should see the entire commodity complex move lower. So nothing has changed there.
How long do you think this is going to last?
The cycles are getting a little long in the tooth. It's hard to say. I mean, I don't know. The cycles are due. The condition, the price oscillator picture is ripe, but until the signal is given and the structure falls in place, it's not there. So I don't know. The answer to the question is is that we'll know it when we see it because we'll see the signal, we'll see the structure change, the cyclical structure. I mean, we'll start to see a violation of a previous shorter-term cycle low. We'll see that transition from right to left translated cycles on a short-term basis. We'll see the transition and the signal. And so once that happens, we're there. Until that happens, we're pushing into those higher degree tops still.
We'll have more with Tim Wood right after the break.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Magnum Gold Corp. Inc., MGI on the TSX Venture Exchange. A 2015 drill program on the LH property intersected high-grade gold, including 16.9 meters of 13.58 grams and 11 meters of 20.66 grams per ton gold. A follow-up drill program is planned to further evaluate previously identified subsurface high-grade gold mineralization. Please visit our website at magnumgoldcorp.com.
Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. A work program is planned for our Finland property that contains diamond-bearing kimberlite. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ADD, and the Frankfurt Exchange, symbol 82A1. Please visit our website at arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Tim Wood. Tim, with the equity markets staying at record highs for so long, do you feel there's some kind of manipulation taking place that we can't obviously see?
Well, it certainly is. I have my suspicions. It certainly doesn't smell right sometimes. But if we kind of back up thinking about the cycles and how, the market is layered, long, short, or long, intermediate, and short term. And even the old Dow theorists, they looked at it they described it as, the tides, the waves, and the little eddy currents and so forth, and, the different levels or layers of price movement. But backing up, we have the 4-year cycle advance that began out of the 2015-16 low. And we didn't get much of a decline into that. That was in terms of 4-year cycle declines, that was very minimal, which, quite frankly, I'm surprised by, given the extension of the move into that top. But nonetheless, it is what it is, and we've ramped up out of that. That 4-year cycle advance is still intact. Obviously, we're continuing to make new highs. Big picture, as myself and many others are saying, it's a bubble, but it is what it is, and that advance at that level is still very much intact. Looking at it from an intermediate term perspective, we had an intermediate term cycle low back in August, and the timing is that we should be at or very near an intermediate term top now. I think we're trying to make that top. The next intermediate term low is due moving into December to mid-December to mid-February time frame. So we're approaching the timing for the downturn into that low. There was, and like I said, that top I think is in the making now, but again, we're not quite there. Looking at the short term, and you talk about manipulation and strange behavior, I don't know sometimes if it's just the behavior of the market or if there is something going on. But the market, I don't remember exactly what we talked about the last time. I never do. But as we pushed into early November, the market was making a new high. We had some work that I discussed in, it's called the Sign of the Bear from my buddy Peter Leides that fell in place. And then in my work, we had Dow theory non-confirmation, which is still there. That's still there. We've traded one Dow theory non-confirmation off for another for most of the year, but nothing's taken root. Nothing's materialized. This last week and a half, something like that, the market literally was in a position to where something could happen. There's certain structural characteristics that have to be in place before other dominoes can start to fall. If you look at any decline, be it 1929 or 1987 or 2000 or whatever, there are structural characteristics, cyclical, structural, however you want to describe it, events that have to happen. I mean, and you have to have what is called a left translated cycle. In other words, you have to have sort of a cycle that peaks to the left of its center point to show that the higher degree cycles are rolling over, and then you need a violation of a previous low and that sort of thing. So you need these structural things in place. In addition, to mark a high of significance, you need other technical factors in place. Like you need like I said, one of the DNA markers for the 4-year cycle top is a Dow theory non-confirmation. We need to see some AD line non-confirmations. I have an intermediate term AD line that we need to see some non-confirmation. We need to see these things in place in addition to some structure, or you don't have a significant top. Well, that said, back in a week or so ago, well, up until this week or up until yesterday, the short-term structure was such that dominoes could start to fall. It was an opportunity. I mean, we've talked about this before. The technical opportunities like going to an intersection. Well, it's an opportunity to keep going in the direction you're going, or it's an opportunity to turn right or turn left. And so we were at that technical juncture where there was an opportunity. It was a good opportunity. And, it just, the can got kicked down the road once again. And so it stretches on. And, we were in a position of what I would call market vulnerability last week. It literally was in a position to where, things could fall apart rather quickly. In the last couple of days, that's mended. Now, looking at it cyclically, we still have an intermediate term top due. We still have a short term top due, but the opportunity at this juncture for something more to take place has been lost again. And so it's going to have to redevelop, reset up again. And we've seen this time and time again. The market will go through these windows of opportunity, and you go, oh my, there's no way it's going to get through this again, and it does. And so you ask about manipulation. I don't know. Is that just the nature of the bubble, or it makes you wonder? I mean, I can only wonder: is this technical? Are these technical junctures being looked at and used to kick the can down the road? Going, oh, this is a vital spot, because you don't see it sometimes in the broader market. You don't see the same price action. Looking at the industrials, you see maybe looking at, some of the other indexes. For example, looking at the airline index, there's a warning there. Looking at the DAX and the CAC, there's a little bit, paints a little bit different picture. Looking at the Tel Aviv, we've talked about that, how the Tel Aviv index is, all this stuff ebbs and flows together, but we have serious warnings of the 4-year cycle top in the Tel Aviv, because, quite frankly, we violated the previous 4-year cycle low. Well, there's never been a time that has happened where the rest of the markets haven't followed. And so, yes, there are some oddities. Can't explain that. Who knows? But, short term, the opportunity's lost, and I think we have to set back up.
We'll have more with Tim Cyclesman Wood right after this.
I'm Brian Fowler, president of Blind Creek Resources Limited, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BCK. Blind Creek is focused in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and British Columbia. The company's key property is the Blend Project, one of the largest undeveloped lead-zinc-silver deposits in Western Canada, plus plans to advance the recently acquired, fully permitted historic engineered gold mine in the Atlan District of Northwestern BC. Check us out at blindcreekresources.com.
Keep informed. Receive our weekly recap of thought-provoking articles, podcasts, and radio delivered to your inbox for free. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage, HowStreet.com. Welcome back. We're speaking with Tim Cyclesman Wood. Tim, are the markets being supported by the promised tax cuts?
I think that may have been something behind the news, and that's something else I've noticed, is that you talk about the manipulation. There's a number of ways to manipulate the market. We're obviously cutting interest rates is what we saw back in 2000. That was the form of market manipulation back then. And that has progressed into, other tools, other measures. And one of the things that I've noticed, and I don't remember the dates and the times. I was keeping track of it on a chart. I should try to update that again. But the market was literally on edge again. I don't remember when this was, but the Bank of Japan, a prime minister or whatever, came out with an announcement, and the technical setup was blown out across the board. They came out with some sort of a QE thing. This was last year, I guess it was. And then there was another time where the market was literally on edge, technically. That opportunity was there like it was last week. And then somebody else would come out with an announcement, and the market would explode higher. And I say explode higher, just enough to negate the technical setup. And the same thing here. We had this talk with, this tax package, and then it blew out the setup. And it's mighty suspicious how that always tends to happen. And maybe, again, it's just the way things work. Maybe it's just the market. Maybe it's not. But it is interesting to see how it always tends to happen right when it's on that teetering edge. And like I said, it allows the market to just kick the can down the road. And I don't, from a non-technical perspective, it may be hard to understand, but you have to have certain things in place structurally for a market to advance, and you have to have certain things in place structurally for a market to decline. And like I said, when you negate those things, then hey, it gets kicked down the road. And so yes, some of this stuff is suspicious. When you look at, again, I was talking about other indexes. When you look at the transports, man, that thing is warning. There are serious warnings of a major top there. We're seeing things that have occurred at every major top in U.S. history. But again, it just keeps going. It's like the Energizer Bunny. It'll try and it just won't crack. And so the long-term perspective, I know it sounds like a broken record, but you know what? It is what it is. And in short term, every opportunity that comes, you call it like it is. And if the opportunity is there, then it is. And either it's going to bite or it's not. And like I said, this last one, it had the opportunity. The bear had the opportunity, and it did not bite. So,
Tim, have an excellent Thanksgiving.
All right. Thank you. And happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners.
My guest has been Tim Cyclesman Wood, editor of Cycles News and Views on cyclesman.com. If you have any questions for our guests, including Tim, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.